All right, welcome to another edition of Above the Bridge podcast. This is episode 34. I'm your host, Thaddeus. Shout out to our producer, boy band, John. What's up, John? Shout out to our sponsors, Defend Hawaii. We have defendhawaii.com right now. If you add promo code ATBpod upon checkout, you'll receive 15% off your entire order. Also, Detail Garage Hawaii. Same thing, detailgaragehawaii.com. Promo code ATBpod upon checkout, 15% off whatever you order. Okay, let's get back to business. Today, my guest, he runs his own podcast. He's a avid collector. He's a former athlete and Damien alum, which always is happy for me to bring to the podcast. Straight Damien alum. His name is Kawika Smith. What's up, man?
How's it going, brother Thad? Thanks for having me on, man.
Thanks for coming on, bro. You've been doing some big things. I've been very impressed. So it's like kind of cool to have you on, especially because you're a Damien alum.
Yes,
What year did you grad?
So I'm a 96 grad.
Okay.
96 grad, yeah. I have to say, man, being at Damien back in that times, I feel like the 90s. No offense to the rest of the alumni that's rocking it, but I'm gonna say, like, I feel like the 90s really rocked it when it came to athletics, man. We were pretty much untouchable during that time. Yep. I mean, by untouchable, obviously, I mean, we still lost to St. Louis every year and all that stuff. But still, like, we had some athletes. We had some shots of our own that we threw.
Yep. I fortunately got to play on the team for football that played in the prep bowl for the runner-up game. So that was kind of cool. We beat Kailua. So we were technically the third best team in the state at that time. That was prior to all the state championship tournaments and all that. It was the prep bowl and the runner-up game for third place. So that was kind of cool.
I think I would have rather have done it that way, to have come in, to have finished third, because what happened to me was I think it was my sophomore year. We were preseason ranked number 3 in the state.
Okay.
And so, we going through the entire preseason, we play OIA teams, no offense again to the OIA guys, but for some reason we just had that magic recipe in the preseason that we were almost untouchable in the preseason, unless we went up against like the Collegiate or somebody like that. So going into the first game of the regular season ILH, and we were going to be the only top 5 teams to play off in the state that night. And I remember it so clearly and vividly. It was us, number 3 Damien, versus number 1 Kamehameha, and we played up at Kekuhaupio. And that was my first game as a varsity player, because the great coach Glenn Martin brought me in, and I love the man a lot. And and I don't know, maybe it's just me, my own personal hubris, but I feel like I should have been able to make the varsity team as a freshman. Nonetheless, he had a thing where no freshmen play on varsity, so I waited my sophomore year. First game of the regular season, we're coming out against Kamehameha, who had Kahivila, and the Nakanishi twins. And so we're the top 5 teams to play. And it was crazy, because as soon as we opened the doors to the locker rooms and started to run out, like, the entire gym, Kekuhaupio, was packed from floor to ceiling. And it was nuts. It was the craziest vibe. I don't know how often you get that in Hawaii, and definitely I don't know how often you get that in the ILH. But it was a pretty dope game, and it was a great experience. So needless to say, we didn't finish the season ranked number 3, but we started it. That's why it's like, I think I would rather go the way you went, where you finished it.
Yeah. That's kind of cool.
That's more impressive to say, I think.
Yeah. So you played high school basketball as a varsity letterman from sophomore year all the way up.
Correct. Yes. So I played, actually I played 3 sports at Damien. I played volleyball, I played basketball, and I also ran track. All 3 of those sports as a sophomore, eventually I became varsity. So I say that because volleyball, I actually played varsity as a sophomore. Sophomore was the first year I ever played volleyball in my life. But luckily at that time I was able to jump really high. Right. And then basketball was kind of what I came to Damien to do. And so my sophomore year, I was on the varsity team. Track and field was just something, I don't even remember how I got started, to be honest. Like, somebody was just like, "Hey, Veeks, you want to come run track?" And
was it Mr. Corey?
Yes, Mr. Corey was
Mr. Corey. He tried to get me to run track.
So I don't know if he was the guy who got me out there. I want to say that one of my friends actually was like, "Veeks, let's go run track." And so if I'm being completely candid and honest, I didn't go to Damien for the education. I was this kid from Kalihi, I'm going to be honest. I was just like a Kalihi punk. And and I came, and all I knew was, you know, I needed this to stay eligible in order to play sports. And so I knew if I didn't continue to play, then I probably wouldn't stick to that, and I may not make it. So I just decided to run track. And so my freshman year, I kind of just got a taste of it. My sophomore year, I ended up getting really good at the high jump, and so I became a varsity high jumper because I qualified for states, and then eventually went on. I think I finished like fourth in the state as a sophomore.
Wow.
But I eventually ended up breaking the high jump record. I think I still hold it at Damien. It's nothing fantastic. It was 6'4". But at the same time, you know, I did I think every track meet, we back when I ran, we had unlimited amounts. I think now they cap it at 4. Every track meet I do about 8 events.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so, you know, at Damien, like, we were short numbered, right? And so if you have somebody that can do it, you're like, okay, go. And so I mean, it's I kind of miss it, I have to be honest, because nowadays I really feel like they pamper the athlete too much by capping them. Because my son, he eventually was the Gatorade State Player of the Year up at Kamehameha.
Nice.
And all he did was jump. And, you know, don't get me wrong, like, my son is absolutely amazing. He now holds the family high jump record.
He beat daddy.
Yeah, exactly. But I was like, shit, I could do that too if all I did was jump, you know?
You start practicing now, get it back.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Let me challenge you when you're 40 then. We'll have this show off again. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. You talk about Mr. Martin. I had him as a I think it was the English teacher, and I grew up with his son Pikello. He was 1 year older than me, and he was my coach for basketball at St. Anne's. He ran a St. Anne's team, the CYO league, and I got to play for him, and I liked his dynamic, the way he coached, and he's very hands-on. He's always on the court playing with you, and I'm short, so my athletic prowess for basketball wasn't the greatest, but he always got me in there and always got to play and stuff. So I always respected him for that. And to this day, I see him working out at the gym. I see Pikello once in a while, and he is still, both of them are still in shape, man.
In great shape. Yeah, I think that's the mark of a Martin, if you will, because Coach Glenn Martin is timeless, man. That guy still plays at a high level. He's still got his crazy footwork move that he likes to do. He's dribbling at you.
I like it.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, he had just like this amazing fervor for the game that if you came in and you only kind of liked it, you played with him, and he ended up like forcing you to love it, because he was just, you know, when you see somebody love something like that, it's hard for it not to be contagious. And with Coach Martin, it was absolutely that. I wish we could have brought him more success as basketball players, but, you know, for whatever reason, we could never tie it together. But it just it sucks to me that obviously our performance reflects on the coaching, or that's the way it's taken. That's the way it was taken. And so, you know, unfortunately, there was a coaching change. But I would absolutely say that I enjoyed my time with Coach Martin. I appreciate him as well as the rest of my coaches throughout my Damien endeavor. They were all great father figures to me. I grew up pretty much with just my mother. I did have a godfather in the house, but other than that, you know, like having those extra parental types were very, very helpful for me. I can tell you that without question. And Coach Martin was easily one of those people.
Oh, that's super cool. He's a stevedore now. Teaching. Making real money.
I was gonna say he's definitely he earned his blessings. He definitely
for sure. So after high school, did you get a chance to compete in college level?
I did, and you know, I did not. Again, I'm from Kalihi, so I always like to make my own struggles, right? And so I didn't take the straight path. I actually had a basketball and track scholarship to go to the University of Missouri, which I accepted. But shortly thereafter, my first wife was pregnant with my first son, and she wasn't sure what would happen. And so she was on a volleyball scholarship to go to Point Loma Nazarene in San Diego. So I was like, okay, well, I really want my son. Like that was my priority at that time. So I ended up reneging on the scholarship, and then I got to the closest school in San Diego Mesa, I stayed there for like half a semester, and so did she. I'm sorry, yeah, for a semester, excuse me, and so did she before she became too pregnant to play. But in that time, I was able to play um, a little bit. I think almost like a whole season of basketball. I was just starting volleyball before we returned home. She was able to play college volleyball. They actually went to the national championship game. They lost to Brigham Young University, Hawai'i, which was NAIA at the time, but it was still a national championship game. Not too many people can say that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So we came home. I went and worked at Foot Locker, and I thought like basketball was done. And so I was fortunate because at the time we had the NCAA Summer League. It was the only NCAA sanctioned summer league in Hawaii. And that was where all the professional former professional guys, the former UH guys, and also current college players would come and play.
Oh,
and
wow.
so, you know, even working at Foot Locker, I got to play with, AC Carter was in the league. Kawika Smith would play in that league.
Oh, wow.
Predrag Savovic. Yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of good names that came through there, and even some NBA names. Definitely a lot of semi or professional guys. Julian Sensley would play, so on and so forth. So while I'm cutting my teeth against these guys on my free time, you know, I'm going back to work, trying to provide for my family. And so Coach Salido, and there was also this I went on this mission to try and I was like, basketball is not done for me. There's no way. So I'm going to go and talk to every single school in Hawaii except HPU, because Coach Salido, he was kind of that hard-nosed coach, you know, like the old school.
Yeah.
Damn you, Kawiika, I can pile doodle up this high and it'll be better than and I was like, yo, I'm over that. You know, that was my Kalakaua days. And so I'm like, oh, I'm not doing that anymore. So I talked to every single coach. Jackson Wheeler over at UH. I talked to the coaches at Chaminade because they had the Maui Invitational. So I was like, yeah, I'd love to be a part of that. None of them wanted to offer me anything. But Coach Salido came to every single summer league game. And I guess he was impressed that I would literally go out and, if not dunk on all of his best guys, I'd at least compete with them. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't back down from anybody. And it was something that was what called out to Coach Salido. He was like, I don't know who this kid is, but he's not going to quit against anybody. He's not afraid of anybody. So I want him. And so Coach Salido came in a Foot Locker one morning while I was working. He was like, hey, you need to come play for me. Stop doing this. And that's how I got to HPU.
Wow. That's a cool story, man.
Yeah, I was fortunate. I was fortunate. You know, it's just funny that I said literally not this guy. That would be the only guy that I would, and I had to get to my wits' end. And also it was really the gesture of him coming to my job, sitting down and telling me like, you know, you can do this for the rest of your life. You can come and play for me, and you can come back and do this if you love it so much. But you need to come and play because that's what you were meant to do. And so if it wasn't for him, I probably would have stopped after whatever, you know, that was prior.
Oh, and you graduated and stuff from over there and stuff?
Yeah. I went on to become All Pac West. My senior year, I was a team captain. I became All Pac West. And I graduated with a degree in communications.
Oh, that's such a cool story, man. It's being ready for an opportunity and seizing it. That's kind of cool, bro.
Yeah. You know, that's why it's so funny to me, because you really want to act like you can control your own destiny, right? I was like, no, I'm not going to go to HPU. No way. But if that's what's on the table for you, if that's all you got, like you better take the advantage of every opportunity. And so I was just, I think the thing that humbled me down was the fact that he came and humbled himself and was like, I want you to come and play for me. He came to my place of work, right? And so it was just a really big gesture for me. So I was fortunate.
Seeing the talent,
Yeah. Well, you know, I was just lucky, and our styles mixed as well. You know, like even though I didn't want to play for a coach like that, that was literally all the coaches I played for before I got to Damien. Because when I got to Damien, my coaches got nicer. You know, like it was Coach Martin, and he would yell, but it was a different kind of yell, and he would never say anything bad to me. Neither would Coach Mel. Like they would never say anything bad. I get to Coach Salido, he's like, hey, Kawiika, if you can't pass, then don't pass. Like that was how. Like, if you can't dunk, then don't dunk. Like it was, that's nice. I'm using the things that I can say, you know, within vulgarity parameters right now, because Coach would also he's a very, very, very heated and animated competitor. So needless to say, if you're not performing,
stories.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did.
Didn't he coach Marino at one point?
He did. Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Coach. Mm-hmm. He was like the Gary Gabriel times and stuff like that.
Oh, they won the championship, was it?
Yep.
Okay.
So he came to Hawaii, won the state championship, went to Hawaii Pacific, won the national championship there. So he's, for all intents and purposes, Hawaii's most winningest coach.
That's
the only one to have
won
a national championship in Hawaii as well.
Yeah, that's a rough go in Hawaii basketball. Like Hawaii doesn't have much championship teams coming out of college level, I guess.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, seriously, like how does a college athlete not want to come and play here? I mean, I guess
that's what I don't get.
We're not represented by Jordan Brand, but dude, did you see the beach? And
yeah,
college. Have you seen the ladies?
Seen the girls? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
that should be in their marketing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I think maybe in their marketing brochure, they need to show like, I don't know, like, well, addiction. They need to show the lobby bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or something.
You could be in between classes. Yeah, on the weekends, obviously, when we're not training. But yeah, no, it always baffles me, but yeah, it worked out.
Well, that's pretty cool. You got to take your athletic skills to the college level. I mean, that's something you always can say you did and you have no regrets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I did, after college, I did kind of venture out and I played internationally for a little while. And to many different places. I started in the Philippines, went over to Brazil for a little bit, did some time in London, and retired for a bit, and then went back again in 2013 and played in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico was my last stop on my basketball journey.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
well, that's a legacy for your kids, man. You played pro. Was that pro or?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's
oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just internationally, right? But I mean, on my team, I think in Puerto Rico was probably my favorite time because, you know, we got to play against guys that played in the NBA, guys like Bonzi Wells and Ricky Davis. On my team was a guy named Mike Sweetney who played at Georgetown, who we actually played against at HPU. So it almost felt like everything was coming full circle when I was there, you know. And that was the first time I retired because that was the first time I actually felt my body say, Kawiika, I don't think I want to do this anymore. Like, and that was a crazy realization, but you know, you got to listen, right? You got to listen.
Oh, yeah. Some people don't, man. And that's when problems happen.
Yeah. But it definitely, having my body tell me that helps me avoid the depression part of disconnecting from the game, you know?
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of a cool story.
Yeah,
so you're this collegiate athlete that turned pro, full manly dude, but you have a nerdy side, right?
Oh yeah, you don't see the shirt? Let me see if I can.
Yeah, I see all the toys in the background, and I know you're.
I mean, it's Kobe. It's Kobe.
Yeah.
First.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know.
Let's see. So, I know you're a Star Wars fan. I got so many questions because I'm a huge Star Wars fan too.
Okay. Yeah.
First things first. What is your opinion about Disney taking over the franchise?
Oh, so I think, you know, and I really don't want to be blasphemous, but you know, the fact that Jon Favreau then put this out there, I feel like I'm within my authority to say that the whole Kathleen Kennedy thing watered it down a little too much, and she had her own kind of political agendas that she tried to serve through it and really distracted from the storytelling of it. And that's really what made Star Wars what it was. You know, the original trilogy in its truest form was fantastic because it was riddled with all these different devices that they would use in Shakespeare, you know, Oedipal complex and all these different things. And that was all lost once it came to under Disney's hand. What Disney did afford, obviously, for it was the fact that they started to, I like the creativity. I like the fact that they brought in different directors for the movies and stuff like that. But really, I just feel like it became a tug of war on how to control this storyline. And I almost feel like it was made haphazardly. It was like, okay, so I left off here. You know that game where you're like, where you say a couple words and then somebody has to like build off and then somebody else has to build off to make that story?
Yeah.
I feel like that's how it was done. So not necessarily the best mode, but you know, I will say this: the best thing to come from the Disney takeover was one, Rise of the Resistance at Disneyland and Disney World.
Oh,
that ride.
I want to get into that. Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, okay. And then two, cinematically, I think they did some amazing things, like for instance turning around or giving us angles that we weren't able to see back when George Lucas was filming. So like in Rogue One, there's that scene where Jyn Erso's walking out on the ledge and then the TIE fighter just comes up right in front of her.
Yeah.
And that's just something like you've never seen that before. You've never seen anybody walk out right in front of a TIE fighter. And like that, I love the scene where the guys are running towards the AT-ATs and they're like towering over them and shooting down at them and the sand's exploding all around. That's the kind of cool stuff that you imagined would happen as a kid to see. So they brought that to life and that was meaningful.
Yeah. What was cool for me is watching Solo, and when Hans and Chewie first sit in the Millennium Falcon, I almost lost it. I'm like with my girlfriend and she doesn't know the storyline too well, and I'm like, this is the moment, like now, this is the first time, and she's looking at me like, oh, why is that such a big deal? I'm like, what the
babe, moment of silence,
right? Yeah,
moment of silence.
This is it. This is it.
I have to say that was really dope. Even seeing the way that Chewie and Han met, I thought that was really dope.
Yeah,
probably the chicken skin moment for me was in The Force Awakens. Speaking of the Disney thing, when Han and Chewie actually come on to the Millennium Falcon again, that reunited them with the Millennium. That was another moment, like just like, oh yes, oh my God. So yeah, I mean, again, a lot of good came from it, but maybe our expectations as a fan base was too lofty, perhaps.
Yeah, I felt like the storyline was similar to like all of them. You're gonna send somebody, get the deflector shields down so you can blow up the Death Star. I'm like, bro, we did this already.
Right. Well, what's so funny too is even the what was it? I want to say Revenge of the Sith. The second installment from Disney, episode 8 at that point then would be, I can't remember the name of it, but I want to say that it started on like a planet that looked like Hoth. And it looked like the scene completely remade. And so, be like, we're not here for that, Kathleen Kennedy. Give us that new. We want that new.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was kind of, and I'm not sure if it was them trying to pay homage to the past or if they were just lazy and was like, yo, they liked it the first time. Let's give it to them again.
Yeah, that's what kind of I felt.
That's what it felt like, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So were you fortunate to go to Disneyland or Disney World and go Galaxy's Edge?
So I was fortunate enough to actually be a cast member at Disneyland, but
wow.
Yeah, but it's funny.
In Cali.
Yes, in Anaheim. And so we'll talk about that in a little bit, but to Galaxy's Edge specifically, I had left before Galaxy's Edge opened. But yes, I did go to Galaxy's Edge. The land itself is nice. It's great. It's breathtaking when you go once. It's really nice when you go twice. And then it really starts to almost like the experience kind of begins to degenerate. I worked at D23 event that Bob Iger was at when he had said, we want to do all these great things. We plan to have these atmosphere characters around. So you're going to have the Tusken Raider walking and some droids walking by. They under-delivered on that part. If you know anything about Disney, we never like to overpromise and under-deliver. Unfortunately, he had lofty expectations. And it sounded amazing because they had this thing that they had planned out where you go on a ride at Star Tours. You remember Star Tours, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so nowadays, when you're standing in line waiting to go inside, they take your picture. And then so when you go inside and the ride starts up there, Darth Vader's like, we're looking for this man. And then, has a candid picture of you going, right?
Yeah.
You were standing in line. Right. And so Bob Iger had said that they're going to have that wanted poster all around Galaxy's Edge. And so if the stormtroopers see you, they would stop you. That was kind of the immersive experience that they were talking about.
Oh, I see.
So we didn't get that. I'm hoping that that's still kind of on the back burner. But hey, they did reveal a real life lightsaber. So
that's pretty cool. I built one. I ended up spending $200 going into that secret room. Yeah. I still have it, and I got to build it with my daughter to give her that experience, but that was more for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So I obviously, because I'm such an avid Star Wars head and an avid Disney fan, I needed to get to Florida. I'd never been my entire life to Disney World, and so we finally got to go January of this year.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, we went to Disney World, and I got to ride the Rise of the Resistance, an amazing ride. If you're a Star Wars fan, it would be an injustice if you do not get on that ride, because that ride is everything for a Star Wars fan. And it's the first ride that Disney, or actually any amusement park that I know of, made it so interactive that you get on the ride, you experience the ride, you get off the ride, you walk through, and you're walking through, and it's still that catered experience. You're still you're now embedded, and even more so ingrained in the storyline. Like, people are yelling at you like, let's go, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know, it's my first day. It's such an amazing experience, and they killed it on that ride. Absolutely.
Same with Smuggler's Run. I mean, just to see the Millennium Falcon in person, like, I had chicken skin. It was like, this is my little kid fantasy right now.
Yeah. But just make sure that the guy in the back that's supposed to be your engineer is paying attention.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Everybody has their role, right? And if you don't do your role, you want to be like, it's not going to matter. It's on a preset course. No, if you don't do your role, your ride is going to be cut short. So it'd be like, hey, pay attention. Like,
on it.
Yeah, exactly. But they did a great job bringing a lot of things to life. The fact that you can walk up to a life-size Millennium Falcon. Oh my God, right? Like, that was another one of those breathtaking moments. They like to call them wow moments in the Disney community. So that was definitely a wow moment.
Yeah, for sure. I loved it. And like I said, like, walking to into Smuggler's Run, you're kind of walking through the Millennium Falcon. They have it look exactly how it did in the movies, and
all the corridors, and the walls, and the bunks. Yeah.
The chessboard that they had, and
chess, it
was super cool. And then when you're sitting in the cockpit and you're actually flying it, so that was my position. I got to fly it. So it's three tiers, right? Fly, shoot, and engineer.
Right.
And it was pretty cool. Like, I walked out of that thing feeling like I flew the Millennium Falcon.
Well, and I will say this, like, their animatronic game is like next level. And so you walk in, and if you've watched Star Wars Rebels or Star Wars The Clone Wars, you've met this guy Hondo Ohnaka before, but you see him and he's like moving so fluidly, it's almost hard to believe that it's an animatronic.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So it's still great. And then, of course, now with Rise of the Resistance, they've stepped up their hologram game. So like, now they're doing these holograms that are just walking around as if they're complete four-dimensional figures, and they're just holograms. They're 2D. It's crazy. Yeah,
that's cool. And what is your take on the whole Mandalorian?
Oh my God, the Mandalorian. It's so robust that we are seeing so many things spin off of it. It's literally outperformed everyone's expectations, and even, dare I say, everyone's hopes. Because at first the Mandalorian was like, oh, they have this show coming out, The Mandalorian. Oh, you mean Boba Fett? No, I don't think it's Boba Fett. It's just The Mandalorian, right? And so everybody's like, oh, how's that gonna fare? Amazing. Like, they got to tell the backstory of the Mandalorian. Now they even created a rift. There's now two different types of Mandalorians. What do you know? Boba Fett's not even the Mandalorian that we're following, And so I think it's so great. And when Kathleen Kennedy she talked about the different shows that are spinning off. Ahsoka Tano has a show spinning off.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Space Rangers, the two X-Wing guys, Dave Filoni and the guy from they have a show spinning off. I even talked about on my show, The Murphy Street Collector, we always start off with a topical conversation. And one of my conversations was the fact that they had mentioned Luke Skywalker was going to do a post Return of the Jedi immediately following that scene where we see him at the season finale of The Mandalorian, where he came in, took Grogu, Baby Yoda. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about it, but I think the name Grogu sucks. So I stick to Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda.
Yeah, exactly. So, they're talking about him having a spinoff. That's 3 like crazy spinoffs coming from this movie. Oh, and I'm sorry. Also, the book of Boba Fett is another spinoff. Now you talking
That's the one I'm looking forward to.
Right. And so
because they did him wrong in Return of the Jedi. I was, as a little kid, that was my guy. And when they just
how he got accidentally killed.
Yeah. And I was just like, shit. But then of course the comic shows him coming out
of the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, he's still alive. I have to argue that point with people, but yeah.
Well, let me ask you this then. If you're a Boba Fett fan, how did you feel about Dad Bod Boba Fett? Like when he came out, he had the chest shield, but the opal was a little farther out than you. You good with that? Kind
of like us, right? If we were Boba Fett. Gotta love it.
You had a couple after your last bounty, huh? Can tell.
Boba Fett let himself go, huh? Retirement.
Boba Fett or Boba Fett? What's going on?
Yeah, my take on the Mandalorian, it felt more like old school Star Wars versus the new three. Like, so I kind of like that. It gave a different timeline to things. So
Mhm.
I kind of like that too. I actually enjoyed the Mandalorian a little bit more than the last three movies.
Oh,
Like,
without
yeah,
question, without
for
question. And I
sure.
think the one if I can give Disney any kudos, the fact that they brought out Disney Plus and they now use it to weave those interconnections between the timelines and stuff. You're absolutely right. They did justice to the timelines by bringing in the Mandalorian. But the biggest difference is that it's overseen by Jon Favreau, who is a Star Wars fan in and of himself. Right, it's overseen by Dave Filoni as well, who is another Star Wars fan in and of itself, and so that's why we're seeing these beautiful stories play out straight from the minds from people who think like we do because they saw it from the beginning like we did.
Yeah,
Just like how on the Marvel side of things, you know, they have Kevin Feige leading the way with WandaVision, with what was it, the Falcon and Winter Soldier, with Loki that's out right now. I mean, they're using Disney Plus as this platform to continue to move and progress the storyline, the character arcs of these different people, which to me is the reason DC can't get any momentum in the box office because man, they come out with these great shows, but I mean, I don't know about you. When I was growing up, I read a lot of comic books. I was a huge Batman, Superman reader. And
okay.
so the death of Superman was like this saga of, I don't know, maybe 10 different
Yeah,
episodes. So, you know, like
I had
every
that.
week you're like reading, like, oh, you know, you got to wait for the next one. You're like, oh, wait for the next one. And then the final one, the death of Superman, was like this black cover.
Yeah,
It was
the
like this
bag, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
And
the
so
wristband. Yeah, I remember.
yeah, it was a huge event for the nerds. And then they come out with this, DC comes out with this movie called Batman versus Superman, which for us is like, oh, now they have an equivalent of Civil War on the Marvel side, right? Iron Man
Yeah,
versus Captain America. How is this going to play out? What they did and where they erred was they kind of like jumbled a bunch of storylines into one. And so now I'm watching this Batman versus Superman, like, wow, this sucks because this is pretty much just about done. And then next thing you know, here comes Doomsday. And I'm like, wait, why is Doomsday in this movie? Because Doomsday is the end of Superman. And sure enough,
yeah,
Superman dies. And I'm just like, how did this go from Batman versus Superman to the death of Superman? Like, these are two different comics.
yeah.
So I think on the Disney side, they've done a good job of employing people with the right vision to keep their fan base enticed.
Okay. So you
Yes. Yeah.
mentioned you read comics growing up, so that means you collected. I know you're a collector. So what are you collecting nowadays?
Oh man, please, what am I not collecting? It's ridiculous, brother. I would say with disposable income comes a lot of extra frivolous things, but I don't even have disposable income right now. I'm just spending like it's all credit. No, I'm just joking. I collect and I have stuff here. So I have like Black Series. You know, I collect the Black Series a lot. When I was growing up, 3.75-inch was kind of like the generic size that they would always make the figures in. They came out with this Black Series, and so now it's 6 inches, more articulation points. And so you can get your figures into better, like more imaginable poses that you really would have wanted to see before. So I switched to that. I sold off my old collection. I also do Marvel Legends. So here's the Shang-Chi. So it doesn't look anything like what the movie one looks like, but I wanted this one because this one stays true to the comic, really. But I love Marvel Legends because growing up, again, reading comics, Superman, Batman from the DC side, and the Flash sometimes. I read X-Men, I read Fantastic Four, Wolverine was my guy, Silver Surfer was my guy, and Ghost Rider was my guy. And, so those are kind of the ones that I do mainstream. Obviously, I've gotten into Funko Pops. I tried to stay away, could not. So I've gotten into that.
BBJ's into Funko Pops.
Oh,
yeah.
my boy band, there we go. I want the thing about Funko fans, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, but man, so this right here, $20, $22.99 at GameStop or something like that. Funkos are $8.99. So to me, I'm like, I can get so much more Funkos now. So John, how many Funkos do you have in your collection, John? And is it because the price point allows you to get more?
I think around like 600.
You see what I mean? That's
Oh, I
bananas.
didn't know you had that many.
Yeah, man. I got big
Yeah.
Costco bins all over the place. I can't even play them, you know?
Yeah, you see, my wife is mad because all this stuff right here kind of is all over the house. You know, I got all my Marvel Legends. I got some. So actually the Funkos up here are the ones that started it all. It was the Umbrella Academy, because I was staying strict. Like, no, I will not buy any Funkos, because it's a slippery slope. It really is, right? And so my wife one day was like, "Oh my God, we binge watched Umbrella Academy." And she was like, "Oh, I think I like these." We go to Hot Topic. They just so happen to have one. And she's like, "Oh, I think I want all of these." So I was like, "Okay, you got it." You know, you can't tell a collector you want it, because I went on Mercari, we went Hot Topic. I went to GameStop. In 2 days, we had the entire collection. And then from there, it was just, I got all the Disney stuff. She had to, yeah. I'm pretty sure she's hiding like divorce papers or something. She's like, this guy's ridiculous. But,
Two more Funkos and that's it, dude.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I'm pretty sure it's written in there. Like he's close to his Funko limit before we become we have a civil separation. But no,
so as a Funko collector, like, what do you guys look for? Like, for both you guys, like, John will.
I want to know what John. Yeah, what does John look for? Somebody with 600. I want to know, when did you start for one, and what is it that you look for? And I'll tell you mine.
It started with my cousin and his wife giving me a Kevin Durant Warriors one. I was like, "What the hell is this?"
Okay, this conversation's over. Where's the leave button?
So from there, and then like I got a gift card from a group of people that was like over $100. I was like, let me look at Amazon and see what I can get. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, what is this? And
yeah, the Avalanche.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, now that you're a more experienced Funko collector, what are you looking? What brings you, or are you just like the insatiable appetite that just keeps buying, guy?
No, well, I mean, I specifically do like movies, TV shows, sports.
Yeah.
Like the good thing is I wasn't into comics. I'm not into anime. Like I'm stayed away specifically from Stranger Things, because they got too many pops. Like I don't want to watch that show because
that show is good though, man.
I'm like, man, I'm gonna want to get all those pops. You know, so I'm like, I gotta stay away. So yeah, so I mess with that kind of stuff.
That's cool. Yeah.
Well,
see,
what's cool also is that he has given me some. Like he gave me a special edition Linkin Park Hybrid Theory Anniversary. He gave me, of course, I'm a 49ers fan, so yeah, yep.
Yeah, those are dope.
Yeah, it's super dope.
I have one of those. I have the Biggie Smalls one. Obviously, you know.
Oh.
Yeah, I had to get Biggie. Did they come up with a Tupac one? Because I know they had a series of Tupac Funkos, which didn't impress me much. But if they had the album cover, if they had like a Machiavelli, I probably would want that one, depending on which album, obviously, they let out. But I think the way that boy band John does it is the smartest way. Like, and I had to figure this out the hard way, right? I had to like just go absolutely nuts before I was like, all right, let's figure out how to do this. And so I have to set like really strict parameters for myself. For me, I'm only looking for one more, which is Darkwing Duck. Yeah, exactly. You know, because I'm really, for me, collecting is really about nostalgia, which is why I'm absolutely in love with what's going on right now with the movement of toys. It's very retro. Yeah, it's going very retro. Like even Hasbro, they have all these like old school, and I wish I had something to show you, but they have all these throwback cards they're putting in card backs as opposed to these boxes. So you're reliving the purchases that you got back in. Like for me, 97 was a big time for me, because that's when I was going full throttle at Star Wars, because that's when they brought out the Phantom Menace. And we were just kind of like going back in that craze of Star Wars again. And so they redid those cards, and now they're redoing the retro Return of the Jedi cards, and they redid the retro Empire Strikes Back cards. So I really love that. But when it comes to Funko, I'm like Disney, only certain Disney characters. Sorcerer Mickey for me. Darkwing Duck, obviously, Gizmo Duck. Yeah, and I have to say that I'm pretty much. Oh, and then of course my youngest son, his name is Kal-El. And so any Superman Funkos that come out, that's pretty much the only Funkos that we buy. So trying to keep it that strict with that, but it doesn't mean anything on the other side, because they produce a lot of the other stuff as well. So I want to see
John. I want to see John's collection.
I know, right? And he's over here got the, probably behind this facade backdrop that he has is like a wall of Funkos. That's like you don't want to show so that people don't try and find out where he lives. Huh?
Yeah. So with Funkos, do they go up in value much, like baseball cards?
Any collectible right now, man, it's so funny because the pandemic, as much as people hated it, and don't get me wrong, there's more negative that came through it than positive, but some of the positives that came out of it was the collector culture becoming a much more popular and prominent thing. When people were forced to stay indoors, you needed to find a new way to get a catharsis of some kind, right? And so people were going to Amazon, we're going to Facebook Marketplace, we're going to Mercari and making these purchases, and then they get it in the mail, because the one thing that never stopped was the mail. Your mail always came, right? And so now you're getting these toys in your mail, and you're like, oh yes, a little bit of normalcy, you know, at least look, I still got this Funko, I got this Star Wars guy that I've always been wanting. Even at one point, GameStop stopped serving people. Like they had you coming in and meeting you at the curb at one point, and then they even stopped, and then they opened and stopped again. So there was so much inconsistency in this world. And so it was like your toys or your sports cards or whatever you did collect was your catharsis. That was your happiness. And so when it came in the mail, that was, you know, kind of you just feeling normal, if even for just a moment. And so that's why, if you ask me, the collecting culture just went absolutely nuts during the pandemic.
Yeah, it has. I have a friend who owns Windward Collectibles, and he's been having shows, and they had something at Pro Ridge recently, and I didn't realize baseball cards and Pokemon cards. And because he explained this to me, Pokemon's value is always going to get up because Pokemon can't tear his ACL in the game. He's always gonna he's not gonna get in trouble for doing cocaine and strippers. Like Pokemon's can't mess up Pokemon, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you really can't.
Real players can.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy, and what Pokemon is really doing right now, and I think is innovative, and I think it's awesome, is they're bringing out these different sets, and so they're highlighting different Pokemon. So normally, if you're a generic Pokemon person, who's a Pokemon you would know? You would say, oh, I don't know, Pikachu. Everybody knows Pikachu, right? So that was kind of that one. And then thanks to the movies, they brought out Detective Pikachu, and then Mewtwo was kind of a big guy, right? And so now these new sets, I think the newest set out is like Raining Fire or something like that, and it's like an Eevee evolution. And so now they're just highlighting all these different Pokemons to like bring a craze to this character now and a craze to that character. And so what they're doing, kind of antithesis to the point of what you're saying, is they can't get hurt, but man, we sure can make them hot, you know. And so
yeah, for sure.
Pikachu's a hot seller, good. He's good. We'll leave him alone. Oh, Mewtwo's a hot seller, good. We'll leave him alone. Okay, now let's make Eevee hot. Let's make Blastoise hot, you know. And so Charizard is one of the bigger ones that started the whole craze with the Champions Pack boxes. You know, those are the guys, like, people would be, I think they call them pack breaks now. They'd be ripping packs, online Twitch streamers and stuff like that. And for this one Charizard card, and if you got it, even if it wasn't graded, it was an instant $500, you know. So yeah, it's crazy. And then once you get it graded, you're talking in the thousands.
Yeah, I seen, what was it, Logan Paul walked to the ring his last fight with a
Pokemon
Charizard card. Yeah,
it was a Gem Mint 10 Charizard. Now, the one thing I didn't get to see is, and this is just the absolute nerd in me talking, is was it a green wing Charizard? Because if it wasn't, then you're not really like the top dog Logan Paul. You kind of max. Yeah.
He said it was worth $1 million. I don't know. Like,
well, and the true fact of anything when you talk about value is it's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it.
True that. Yeah.
You know, so I could be like, oh, this right here, I only sell it for $10,000. That's basically me saying that this is worth $10,000 to me. Is it worth $10,000 to anybody else? No. So then what's it really worth? You know, somebody's like, I guess I'll buy it for $20. And really, if all you're going to give me $20, then it's really worth $20, right? So
that's true.
It's all relative.
What is your opinion about the new digital baseball card or basketball cards?
Wow, you know, so I did a podcast on that once because I had a couple friends that were doing it. The way they do it is interesting. I don't even really see. You're talking about like NFT, right? The non-fungible. Yeah. Okay. The
moments they're called.
Right.
Moments?
Yeah. And so that's the thing, is it's not even a card anymore, right? It's like it's a moment. It's really what it is, right? And you own that moment, and they make 10 of them, or they make 100 of them, or whatnot. That just goes to show you how incoherent the craze was. It makes no sense. It was illogical. It makes absolutely no sense because somebody's paying. I think the packs were like $200, and then they escalated in price. I think you could buy one as low as 40. You could even buy one as high as 1,000 or something like that. And you obviously you get better odds of getting the more sought after ones and the more money that you pay. What's crazy to me is the value, the write out value. As soon as you got it, it was immediately worth this much.
Yeah.
Again, it's only worth what someone's willing to pay, and someone was immediately willing to pay this much for it because they heard that it was worth this much. And so what do I think about it? I think it reflects a lot about what happened during the pandemic. I think it shows how powerful everything was. Do I ever foresee myself doing that or purchasing that or getting into that? No, absolutely not. I'm a very tangible person, and
yeah, I'd be the same way.
The way of the world now, right, is cryptocurrency, is making sure that you have your portfolio up with your stocks. Now, don't get me wrong, I do have some shares in AMC, and I'm holding on to that. But as far as NFTs and stuff like that, man, like, because they also have DC figures. I know that the Joker came out not too long ago, and that was a big thing. I know that they had virtual Funkos. I know Funko had created some NFTs as well.
Really?
Yeah, so it's all well and cool. It's just about what your bag is, I guess. You know, the great thing about it is everyone is a collector. You just never know until you start collecting something. And so I think just the more opportunity for people to find that in them. To me, that's why I created the podcast. That's why I rolled it into a show, is just because a lot of times you go to work next to somebody and you have no idea that they're a collector until you see, like, oh, why does this guy have like a starting lineup? Like, does he like that team or does he like that player? You know, and so you ask him and you're like, oh my God, you know, I got a bunch of these McFarlane figures at home, and now you guys have this commonality. And it's to me what was missing a lot of the time, because to be honest, collector culture is also known as nerd culture.
Yeah.
But I'm a collector.
I collect. I got Disney
you know
collection.
What I mean? So it's just like, wait, hold on.
These little, bro. I
that's
run
okay.
these days,
So Vinyl are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vinyl are cool. By the way, that Darth Vader one is pretty dope, and they also stopped producing those. So you may,
yeah, they don't have Vinyl anymore, huh?
Yeah. So
I got a bunch of Star Wars ones. I have all Star Wars. Yep.
That's dope. That's fire. But that's just the whole thing for me, is like, okay, really, nerd culture is everybody. Everybody's a nerd of some type. And so I just wanted to show everybody that, expose everybody to that, so that we could just get along and be more of a connected community, as opposed to like side-eyeing somebody as if they're a nerd, like a negative connotation nerd.
What's kind of good too, because you're an athlete, so you can kind of cross over. Right. And it's like, oh, this guy's a nerd. I was like, yeah, but I'll dunk on you. You know what I mean? It's like,
I mean, I try to be nicer than I go about it a little more diplomatically than that. But yeah, you know, and that's how it was at Damien too. Like, I had two different sets of friends. You know, I had my teammates, and then we go to class, and you know, in Mr. Mokunui's class, I'll be talking to my friends.
Like, Mr. Bradamokes.
Yeah, exactly. Can you draw me as Iceman? Like, make my face like my face, but I want to be Iceman. You know, like those are the friends. And so the great thing about it is that now, with the way that movies are going, and again, this the trend that most toy companies are going, is they're going retro. Like, they're bringing back all of our coolest things. I'm still waiting for to come out. But I'm just, you know, it's amazing how much they're recalling everything from the past.
Yeah. I right here, I have a retro at 25th anniversary G.I. Joe Cobra Ninja. Yep. They sent me the wrong one though. I wanted the white ninja.
Oh,
I got it on eBay.
Yeah, no, it does say ninja, but that was the Arctic Storm Shadow back when I was a kid. I mean, I don't know if maybe they just changed the packaging on it, but I love that 25th anniversary packaging because it has the silver lining around it. It really makes it pop.
And it has the info card in the back.
Yeah.
So I hit the guy back up, and he's sending me the right one, and he's letting me keep this one.
Oh,
so I'm like super stoked.
Yeah, totally take that, dude. Did you see? So you know how I have these Marvel Legends and these Star Wars guys that are 6-inch now. They created the G.I. Joe Classified. Oh, you know what? I have one right here. G.I. Joe Classified series, and so they kind of like redid them. And so this is Major Blood. I actually have a Snake Eyes too in the room, but yeah, these guys are so dope, man. I love the detail that they put into these guys. Yeah. So that's how big of a nerd I am. Like I said, I collect everything. It's stupid.
So has this passion for collecting transition to your children? So they collect too?
Huh. So I have my oldest son is 24.
Okay.
And he does collect, although I think his girlfriend nowadays kind of made him purge a lot of his things, because I'm also a sneakerhead. Obviously, you know, we came up in a time when Jordans was booming, right? And so my kids grew up sneakerheads, and my son is as well. But he is more of the gamer type, which is another thing that came from our generation. Like we started with the being comfortable with video games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so my son is a gamer without question. He has a PlayStation 5. I have a PlayStation 5 too, but he has a PlayStation 5. But he also builds his own computers.
Oh, okay.
Outside of my realm of expertise. But
yeah.
Yeah, that guy. But he's always been like that, you know. So as far as like my passion for collecting, no, they don't have anything like that. He has a couple Dragon Ball Z pieces that he digs, but nothing as to where he's more of an a la carte, I would say, collector. So he likes from Star Wars, he likes Darth Revan, or he likes Revan, whether it's the Jedi Knight Revan or Darth Revan with the two swords. He likes those obscure characters again that are pretty much video game based.
I see.
Yeah.
That's
so
pretty
for him,
cool
as well, right? It's the callback to the video games that he remembers, and that's why he likes Revan.
That's cool. I wanted to ask you, so you mentioned about your podcast. So what is your podcast about, and like how can people find it?
My podcast is, well, so I actually have two, although I've stopped doing the Higher State. I've just focused more on the Murphy Street podcast. So the first one is one like you and I are doing. It's called the Higher State Podcast. Both of my podcasts are on Spreaker, Apple iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio. So you can find them almost anywhere. But you know, my Higher State one is probably one that I'm really low key proud about because of the interviews that I did. And so for us Damien guys, I interviewed Kealoha Polaris.
Nice.
A kid that I coached, and you know, I'm very, very close to his family. And I also videoed, I you know, like you do, but I try and do a little more production. So for Kealoha and I, we actually went to the family Lo'i, and we did it out there because he's really, really in tune, right? This former Carolina Panthers guy is now just all about being at the Lo'i. And so, you know, I told him, okay, fine. Do you want?
Yeah, he has dreads and stuff now.
Yeah, exactly. That's his. Well, he's cut it. He's on a different.
Oh, he cut it. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he did have dreads, absolutely. So, you know, I was like, let's do it. If the Lo'i means that much to you, absolutely. And so we did it at the Lo'i. It was gorgeous. I've done John Veneri, and I also did. His name is Clyde Fujimoto, and he was on Aloha Airlines flight. Oh, was it 153 something like that?
Oh, the one that
tore off.
Yeah.
And so he was actually on that flight, and he was actually an Aloha Airlines employee when that happened. You know, so it was great to hear the account from his point of view. And so I also have Instagram set up for that as well. And that one would be Higher State, I believe. It's not too complex. But my main one that I do all the nerd stuff on, all this Marvel, Disney, Star Wars stuff, is called the Murphy Street Podcast. And that one I've also rolled into a show that airs on K-High, which is the old K5, which is KHON's younger sister. They purchased K-High. And so now I'm on K-High every 5:30 p.m. on Saturdays before the simulcast news. So I'm right before the news.
Okay. I got to check that out for sure.
Oh, yeah,
and it's those same ones that's on your YouTube channel, or it's a one specifically for that?
So I let it air on television first, and then so it airs on Saturday, and then every Sunday morning I put it up because I have friends on the mainland that are always like, oh, we don't catch K-High. How can we catch it? Put it on for the people who can't catch it, right? But it's the same exact ones on my Instagram, which is at Murphy Street 808. I like to use that more for like personable stuff, right? So I do like a lot of my comedy outtakes and stuff like. So you'll see some of my outtakes, and I'll do quick reels just to tease the upcoming episode. But other than that, you know, I try to keep the longer things on YouTube. I feel like Instagram is really like a quick kind of like scan and go type of media, whereas YouTube, you go there with the intent to be there.
Yeah. And those episodes too, you can find audioly on regular podcast platforms.
You know what? I have not actually released any audio versions of the episodes. Yeah, but as far as Murphy Street Podcast, you can absolutely find those as well on Spreaker, iTunes, and Spotify.
Nice.
A lot of the other hosting platforms. You know, for me, again, it's all about connectivity. So me, and then I do it with two other guys. So I started my Disney journey at the Aulani. I was a cast member at the Aulani front desk. And so two of my really good friends, and I've kept them throughout the years, my friend CeeLo and my friend Bronson, we do the podcast all together. And I started off by myself, and I really was hoping that I could find people that would be interested in doing it with me, because it's always a much more robust and more enriching conversation when you have different points of view.
Correct. Yeah.
And so it was great to have them on. But these poor guys, like I drag them all over the place. I'm always, we're marketing minded, you and I, right? And so I'm like, yo, I want to do this like giveaway. What are you guys saying? And they're like, okay, yeah, let's go. Okay, cool. Let's do this event in person. And so we have during the pandemic, we had virtual events. At the on the 30th of December last year, we had NYEE, New Year's Eve, because everybody's busy on New Year's Eve. Everybody's busy on New Year's Day. So we thought we'd claim it NYEE. And we'll try and make that an annual event, but NYEE is by far our biggest event. And we gave away probably about like 10 grand worth of stuff last year.
Oh, wow.
Just toys. You come in and it's basically, NYEE is just like a game show that we have at From the Heart.
Oh, okay. So from the store, From the Heart.
Yeah. And so because
cool.
he's always been, so Ken Komodo is all about the community, and I've just been fortunate to get to know him, and really, he and I became really, really close. And so when I told him, I was like, hey, I have this podcast. You mind if I come and do it from your store? He was like, yeah. So every time that we did a podcast from the Heart Hawaii, we did, I have this segment in the podcast called What's on My Table, where I just put a toy on my table, and then, we'll unbox it right there and kind of like tell the audience what it is. And so when we did it from his store, because we always do an IG live to coincide with the recording of the podcast, we would do a What's on Your Table. And so because we're IG live, anybody watching would come on, share with us whatever they had on their table, and then we would, give them whatever item we had to give away. And so, Ken and I just continued to build our relationship. And so for NYEE, I brought a bunch of stuff, and Ken was like, oh, okay, here. And just like gave a bunch of stuff as well, so we came suited and booted to have a good time. And then Ken just made it an even greater time. And even with the Murphy Street Collector, the television show, Ken is my biggest sponsor.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, even if not nominally, I mean, he's one of the biggest sponsors nominally, but he always, like my most recent episode 3 of the Murphy Street Collector, the Outer Rim I keep because I love comedy. Like I like to think I'm funny. Most people don't, but whatever. But I like to keep it. I originally intended it to be for like local comedians. So my first 2 episodes had Tumwa.
Okay, he's on our. Yeah, he's hilarious.
Right. Yeah. I saw he was one of your podcast guests, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's so great that I can now be in the pantheon of people that have been on the above podcast. Thank you so much. But so he was my first 2 episodes because he had done such an amazing job. Doing his comedy sketch with Melvin. Everybody loves Melvin, right? Yeah. And it was 9 minutes, and it's a television show, so I only have just under 30 minutes, right? And so I got to cut it down. So I was like, you know what, brother? I'm going to cut it into 2 pieces. So we had episode part 1 and part 2 for him. And then this most recent one, we went to Collectors Megalopolis, which was the one at Pearl Ridge.
Oh, okay. That was it. Okay.
The huge collector show at Pearl Ridge. But then I brought my 5-second rule thing. And if you haven't ever played 5-second rule, it's hard, but it's also hilarious because people are really trying to win, right? And you ask them something super simple, and just the crunch of the time, you're like, so to watch people do that is very, very entertaining. And it's something that I love so much that I actually posted it on my personal IG just to tell people about, hey, there's also this at the end of the Murphy Street Collector, in case you're not collector minded, just something that might entertain. So I had Tumua on episodes 1 and 2. I had Collectors Megalopolis on episode 3. Coming up, I have Mike Tolba, who's Augie T's younger.
Okay. Yeah. He's a singer. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, exactly. And so I have him singing his song "My Girl" on. I should be episode 4, which I think will also be Aloha Con. Oh, yeah. I also have a powwow segment. I mean, I'm just trying to find with this platform. I really hope to, again, connect everybody else. I intended it to be for comedy. But if there's some kind of like breakdancing crew or something like that wanted to come on, or and they were nice enough, that'd be for sure. Like I remember being that dude how many times in life going like, man, I just need this one chance. I just need one.
Exactly.
No, so if somebody was out there saying that, and I could provide that one break for them, whether
Could
they
mean
did
the
or
difference.
didn't. Right? Yeah, I was gonna say whether they did or didn't make it. I would have appreciated being that opportunity to be that shot for them. And so that
Same here. Yeah.
right. Well, you're probably a lot better off.
it.
Probably have a lot more shine than I do, but
No
the main
ways.
thing is the intent behind it, right?
Yep. And my objective for this is we all rise together, like floating. What is it? High tide floats all ships. So if I
That's
can
right.
control the tide and get everybody to rise up, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But we've been going for an hour already, man. I think it's
Okay.
time for BBJ to ask us the question of the week.
Okay, guys. Question of the week is, what are your top 3 favorite things you've collected?
Okay.
Oh.
Who answers first? You go first. I go first.
I could go first. Go first. Yeah. Well, okay. For me, okay, I got it right there. I collect drumsticks from concerts I went to.
What?
So these two are probably my most prized possessions, and it is Stain. I caught the drumstick from Stain from Bayfest when they played in Kaneohe. So and I'm from Kaneohe, so the ticket stub says Stain live in Kaneohe Bay. And my boy caught the drumstick. He caught it with 2 hands, and he got swarmed by a bunch of military guys. And I literally told him, hang on. And every guy that was on him, I just started swinging, like trying to get him away from it. And he brought this thing down, and I have it now.
Nice. That's dope.
This one is like a super cool story. So me and my boys flew to Vegas because I'm a Linkin Park fan. So we're at the concert, front row. They throw the sticks out. My friend tries to catch it because he's a lot taller than me. It hits his hand, falls on the front of the barricade. So the front of the barricade, we can't get it. And there's all security all lined up. So he grabs the stick, puts it under the stage so we can't get it. And we're like, bro, just give it back. And he's looking at us like, no, that's my stick. So we're like, all right, that's lame.
Yeah.
So at the end of the concert, the lead singer, the rapper guy, Mike Shinoda, comes off of the stage and he starts shaking the crowd's hands. So he's shaking the people's hands and he comes to us and we're like, Mike, can you grab us the stick? So he crawled under the stage, grabbed the stick and gave it to us.
Dude, that's wild. You got Mike Shinoda to crawl under the stage. That also says a lot about him as a person, man. That's dope.
Exactly. And it's a U stick. Like the Knicks. So like that's probably the 2 things that I collect. I mean, one of the things that I collect that's kind of a super cool for me. And then of course, like the second thing is my vinyl is the Star Wars ones. I have a bunch of them and I got them from Disneyland. So all the ones I have, I got from Disneyland.
Oh, see, that's special right there. But you know what? So the crazy thing is with Vinylmations, it's hard to get the accessories with it. And so the fact that you have the lightsaber still, that's dope.
Yeah. And I opened it. I think I bought like 7 of them trying to get the Darth Vader. And the last one was Darth Vader. The last one I bought was Darth Vader.
Wait, real quick. Who's your favorite Star Wars character?
Han Solo. Yeah.
Nice. That's gangster.
Yeah.
John, you got a favorite character?
I've only seen the first 2 movies, and that was just recently.
Who are you right now, man?
Well, when you guys as kids were watching Star Wars and fucking comic books, I was watching Bikini Car Wash, HBO late night.
Cinemax, Live After Dark or
Showtime.
Whatever.
You record on that EP mode. You get 3 movies. You tell your friends come after school. Bang, bro. It's over.
Wow.
You got to get that Shannon Tweed Funko Pop.
Wow. you were better than me, man. I couldn't afford that. Like I had to watch it through the lines, like.
Yeah.
No. Wow. Those were good. So for me, my top 3, I have a jacket, a Kobe Bryant jacket that actually came, a super limited edition jacket that came with a shoe to commemorate his 81-point performance. But it's a favorite of mine because it was one that Kobe actually used for the photo shoot and then just left.
Wow.
And so a friend of mine worked for Nike and was actually part of Kobe's design team and all that stuff. And so he was at the shoot. Kobe left it. He grabbed the jacket. It was like, hey, Beeks, you're his size. So it's funny because back in the day, I used to actually get all of Kobe's shoes that he didn't want. And so I'd get a bunch of Kobe Bryant shoes come my way because, you know, we were the same size at the time. And so, yeah, I still have that jacket. I wish I had it for you. Sorry, it's in the closet hanging up. Another collectible for me. It's one that I actually use, but I also have two kind of on ice. Is the Air Jordan 11 Grails. It's the white and black patent leather. And the reason that I love this, it's the first colorway that they dropped in the Jordan 11. And I don't know if you guys know the Jordan 11 shoe, but it's the game changer. It was the first one that came with patent leather on it. And it happened back in 96. So when I was a senior, and my friend Mackie Sarsuelo, one of the Windward Side guys, and one of the guys that, I mean, so if you wore Jordan, like you knew you were it, right? And so my friend Mackie was like, he was first team. He was first team all-star. I was second team. Like he was the scorer. He was all the flair. I was just like the behind the scenes team guy, right? Like just to let you know how crazy and how nice this guy was. We're playing that same game, right? Number 1 Kamehameha versus number 3 Damien. Little Damien, okay? We come down. The gym's going nuts. Mackie shoots a 3-pointer. Hits it, flips a bird as he's running backwards down the court to the entire gym. That's how fire this guy was. And so, I mean, that's the kind of persona that he had. And he had those shoes. He was one of those, like, you had to be forward thinking to wear the Jordan 11s when it first came out. And he did. And I was like, look at this guy. I was wearing that. What was I thinking? And then here I am, like, in the locker room, like, man, I wish I could afford those. I'll probably wear. So I was never able to get them until I was at HPU. They retroed them. They brought them back out. I didn't have the money when they first came out. So obviously, like, Jordan drops go quick. When I finally get to foot action at the end of the week, I'm like, yo, do you guys have any Grail 11s? I want to use them in my game tonight at HPU as a senior. They're like, we have, but we only have one pair left. I was like, I'll take it. They're like, oh, you sure? It's kind of big. I was like, I got big feet. They're like, okay, it's a size 17. So it's like, oh, I'll take it.
It's canoes.
So I took it. I rocked 6 pairs of socks and wore a size 17 shoe in an NCAA game for just to say that I was able to rock Jordan 11 Grail game.
In a game.
Yeah. It's like Yao Ming size or something, huh?
Yeah, no, it was crazy. It was a lot bigger than I thought it would be. But you know,
so how much blisters you get?
I didn't have any. I didn't actually have any. Yeah, it was a strange experience. I definitely would not suggest playing a high level game in a shoe that's 3 sizes too big. But my third thing would probably be this guy, and I wish I kept this one in the box, but this is just a general release. But again, Kobe Bryant. This one is the Upper Deck came out with this thing called the All-Star Series, and I like it because it's all these, you know, they did a bunch of different athletes in this style. But
Kobe looks yoked.
yeah, well, he's a little big on it, but it's more so I like the graffiti style in which they did it. You know, it's not just like a regular polished look around the edges. It is literally like if he came straight off a graffiti wall. I don't know if you guys can see his face really well.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so that's why I liked it. Obviously, you know, it was something that just kind of hung out around the house. It had a lot less meaning. And then of course, when Kobe passed away, like I was really happy that I still had this. I have the limited edition one, but it was in the Minneapolis jersey, the baby blue and yellows that they rock from time to time, which is cool. But as a Laker fan, like you know, to me, the purple and gold is always the mauve and gold is always
mauve and gold. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got it on my arm. So what do you have the black Mamba jersey?
I do not, but I do have 3 LA Dodger jerseys that have the number 8 on it and then 24 on the back and then Kobe's name. Says Brian.
That's pretty cool.
The Kobe patch. Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, I didn't get the Mamba jersey, but I did get I did get a couple from a friend of mine that works at Nike that, you know, I can rock on Mamba Day.
That's super dope.
Yeah.
Well, man, this went a fun one, bro. I had a lot of fun.
I know, I'm so sorry, man. I'm Kathy over here. I didn't mean to talk.
Oh, that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Well, cool,
Makes it easy. Yeah. But again, where can people find you on Instagram and on YouTube?
So on YouTube, it's Murphy Street Productions. Productions. That's where you'll find all of my stuff that I've uploaded from either my television show. I do have a separate series for that on the side, but you can find it all in Murphy Street Productions. On Instagram, you can find me at Murphy Street 808. So that's MurphyStreet 808.
Oh, right on. And for us, as usual, Boy Band John's Instagram is BBJ8, the letter 08. That's his Instagram. Go give him a follow. I'm Thaddy Daddy High. Our podcast, ATBpod.com. Above the Bridge podcast on Instagram and on YouTube. And all our episodes are on YouTube, and we're on Olelo as well. John got us on Olelo. It's late night because some of our guests like to swear, and so do I. So we got to put it on after 12, except the episode with my daughter.
I thought it was late night for the ladies. Like, hey, you.
Hey. But before we leave, I was thinking about this whole time during the interview. Back in like, I don't know, maybe like 10, 15 years ago, like we had like N1 guys playing at Blaisdell.
Yeah.
And please tell me you were on that team that fucking played those N1 guys. You were, right?
Yeah, I was.
Oh,
yeah.
It was the best because you guys were legit fucking playing defense, and those guys did nothing that whole game.
Yeah, I was on that team as well. As a matter of fact, I had done like a spin move and went to go hit main event with between the legs. And when I went to go run on the other side because I got him, he like grabbed me. He was like, "No, you're not doing that to me today." So I was like, "All right."
I remember how shitty the game was in a sense that like we told Shane the dribbling machine to like, "Oh, shoot half court, go." And he's just like,
no, it was
like, what? We paid for this guy?
I don't think it was what they had hoped it would be, but hey, I will say this, just to talk about, the podcast again. My man Jimmy Taco was the DJ for that game.
Oh, nice.
I remember that.
Shout out to Jimmy Taco.
That's my brother, man, that guy, for sure. That he kept it hot. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So you guys smashed them.
I honestly don't remember how it went. I just know that we were a lot tougher than they thought. They thought what everybody thinks when they come to Hawaii. We're just gonna come and play these guys from Hawaii. They probably don't know how to play. Yeah, and we had it was me, Scott Cato, Tess Whitlock, Justice Suing. I think maybe even Jeremy Robinson was on that team. So we came legit. Like there wasn't
you guys
much.
Beat up. You didn't let them do that shit.
Yeah,
no. Let them fool around.
It was
not happen in a real game,
They were getting a highlight reel off you guys.
Remember how good it was with that.
Yeah.
What was that N1 with a white guy, white chocolate, or what was his name?
The professor. Yeah, and he wasn't on the team that time.
Oh,
he was. That was slightly before his time. Thanks for making me feel old, though. I appreciate it.
Raja, I'm older than you.
Well, the problem is you don't look it. Okay, that's a problem.
That's a good problem.
Yeah, for you. Like, I'm just like, Jesus. You want me to buy you cigarettes? I don't know what you want.
Well, I really do appreciate you coming on the show. I'm happy to see a Damien alum with all the success you had. And I like how you can transition from athlete to nerd and back and forth and kind of blur the line. It's super cool because, like you said, everybody has that side of them. It's just they got to bring it out and let it shine. And I do. I don't care. Like, if you don't like me for what I do or who I am, then
kiss my two ninjas.
Yeah, exactly. My G.I. Joe ninja. Yeah. But thanks again, and we'll be checking out your show a lot, and definitely appreciate you coming on and
thank you guys. Yeah. Thanks, Dad. Thank you, John. Appreciate you guys having me on, man.
Yeah. Right on. Shakas for the cameras. Right on. And always shout out to the Artist Groove Network. We're out.
Yeah, man. Take care.